Want to welcome to the program Sheriff Billy Honsel. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Rollin. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out of always a busy schedule. Just wanted to see if we can get some updates on things with the moving through stage 2 and kind of the second half of this. We got the approvals, my understanding, from the state on what the Board of Supervisors provided as a plan. And that throws, if I'm correct, kind of decision-making, who gets to open and when they open, into our local hands, and I think really on your shoulders. Is that correct?
It's theoretically on the public health officer's orders, and so it's that is a good thing. It's what we've been asking for, is local control. The governor has his overall plan, but in reality, for us to be, under the shelter in place because Southern California is still going through issues, that's not something that we really want to have to deal with. So he provided a plan to go into a variance, to submit a variance so we can go into our own stage 2 and our own timeline and have local control as far as when, certain actions could take place under the guidance of the public health officer. So, and that is really the best outlook. And when you look at the law and what public health officers' job duties are, that's exactly what we want to have happen. So, it's public health officer Dr. Frankovich's prerogative to look at things locally and to see where we are here on the ground. What's the amount of current COVID cases? What are the hospitalizations? How are we looking as far as our surge capabilities? All this stuff is what she has to consider in order to lift the shelter in place here locally. So I'm happy that took place. It took place. We got our variance yesterday, and so we were allowed to start the process of allowing first retail businesses to open their doors. And we've had a lot of retail. We've had 85 that have submitted compliance certifications for review, and about 50 of those have been reviewed and accepted, and certificates have been issued. So they're allowed to open their doors today to foot traffic and open their facilities, and so we're going to start getting businesses open again.
So when you say foot traffic, this means that we can actually now step inside some of these places that we were able to for a long time with the bigger locations, as Costco, Target, Winco as examples. But now the mom and pop in Old Town Eureka, in Ferndale, or on the Plaza Arcata, if they complete this business reopening plan, submit it, get it approved, they can open their doors and follow those guidelines.
That's exactly right, Roland. I never thought that was it just seems ridiculous to me how Target and Costco are open. I'm thankful that we do have those, but in reality, it's like mom and pop shops can put in control measures, better than Target, and we have less people and that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to see that they are first. The public health officers recognize that as well, as they're first. Let's get them open. Let's get people to start shopping local and support our local businesses.
Where do the dine-in restaurants and some of the other facilities, hair care places and so forth, fall in line with all of this?
So the next on the list really is dine-in restaurants, and so that the state did come out with their guidance on what dine-in restaurants should do in order to become compliant with their opening, and so we have that as a process now. I believe we're going to wait a couple days to see what prioritize the retail, and also see what our numbers do. We got a spike in our numbers. I think we have 14, 15 active cases now, and so we wanted to see where that goes. And then after a couple days, things start leveling out. We only had one case yesterday, and so we're hoping that that kind of tables out a little bit, and then we're able to expand into dine-in restaurants, and so that is really the next on the list. Some of the other things that are opening up now that weren't previously open are general offices and child care facilities for non-essential workers, and also outside retail. So when we say outside retail, we're looking at those places that do obviously outside, but also recreational. So people that rent kayaks, mountain bikes, people that do charter services, they're able to fall under that retail aspect, apply for it, and then get their certification to officially open.
Does every business that you mentioned just now, and those that you haven't mentioned that do want to open, do they all have to apply for the same permit?
Yes. So the previous businesses that were open throughout this whole thing, they were deemed essential, they still have to apply. The state is mandating that they put an application in and apply for, essentially reopening. All it is just essentially a plan in place so the public knows that they have essentially four things to consider. One, they have control measures in place, they have training for their employees, they have physical distancing guidelines, and also disinfecting guidelines. And they publish this, and we provide a certification through the state and Cal OSHA that says this business, like Target, is certified to open their doors because they have a plan in place that's been approved.
And so that does two things, I'm assuming. It makes the public that's going to be possibly coming in comfortable with coming in, and also can do the same thing for the employees in their comfort zone.
Rollin, you're exactly right. We've had a lot of employees kind of reach out to us and say, listen, I'm off work. I don't want to go back to work because I'm in fear of, that my employer isn't prepared. And so what we want to do is we want to provide this framework so actually employees can go, okay, number one, I'm going to be trained. That's part of the mandate. And also that there's going to be these control measures in place and they can feel comfortable going back to work and interfacing with the public. So, we want to minimize the fear as much as possible. We understand exactly it's a pandemic, but we also want to know it's manageable. It's manageable under these terms, and we need to open up now. We understand that by opening up, more people will get sick, but we have the capability of helping them while still sheltering the most vulnerable population, mind you. We don't want the most vulnerable population, people with underlying conditions, to venture out yet. That's one of those things that we want to make sure that they're protected, but people that don't have compromised immune systems or care for those that have compromised immune systems, we want them to be confident enough to be able to go out and to be able to start performing those functions and going back to work, and also shopping and doing some of those day-to-day operations that we used to do.
Let me ask you this question. You talked about venturing out. When initially all this was put in place here some 57 days ago, 8 weeks ago, we were just instructed house to our essentials and back again. Is there any flex on that now? We can move about a little bit more for recreation or any other relaxation in that regard?
Well, we've always allowed, venturing out for recreation. So that's something that we didn't put a restriction on. But you're exactly right. We want to lift this shelter in place, and that the public health officer is looking at this right now and retooling this, and so you're going to see very soon that we're going to have at least getting together with friends, families, reducing the size to about 10 initially. Gatherings of 10 or less will be allowed. That's the next step, and then again, we're going to incrementally just open up based upon our current numbers, and that's really what we're supposed to do. And so I'm excited about that. I'm thinking it's time, and I think we're ready for some of those things to happen. But again, cautiously, and also prepare people that more people will get sick or get exposed to it. But we know that it's going to be a matter of time, and we want that to happen now, as opposed to the winter time when immune systems are essentially more compromised in the winter time as opposed to the summer.
Well, Sheriff, I appreciate you answering the questions this morning. Like I said, you've got a busy schedule, and I appreciate the 10 minutes out of your time this morning to answer this. And the door is always open, as I've said beforehand. Something comes up that I haven't reached out to you, can get a hold of me, and we'll get you back on the air, all right?
Rollin, thanks a lot. Appreciate the time. Take care.
Thank you, too. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.